Okay, we are ready to begin conching. Now these nibs are really hard. I guess I would, like when you crunch on them and eat them, I compare them not in taste or anything, but in hardness. They're kind of like grape nuts.
Grape nut, yeah.
You know, and so they're really hard. But what's really surprising is that we're going to go ahead and put these on. And by the way, I weighed these nibs. We started out with 2 pounds of beans that were green beans. When you roast the beans, then you lose some weight from the roasting process. And then I weighed them after we roasted them. And then when we do the winnowing, we of course remove the husk, and you lose from that about 18% of the weight that you have in husk. And so then that further reduces. And so when we started out with 2 pounds of beans, we now have 1.5 pounds of nibs. And what we're going to do is we're going to take and put them into this conching machine. We're going to put them into this conching machine, which, let me just turn it on real quick. It's rather noisy. But this is a stainless steel bowl, and in the bottom of the bowl is a stone. And then inside the bowl are 2 stones, and they just literally, they mill the nibs down. And as this happens, it's really surprising because the nibs end up turning into a liquid mass, and it's called cocoa mass. And it's really a surprising process to see happen, because you've got these beans that are so hard, and these nibs. So I'm going to go ahead and start the process now of putting these cocoa nibs into this bowl. And as it turns, and it gets rather noisy, I want you to see the start of the process, and then we'll certainly show you as we go along here. Okay, well, I've been at it now for 30 minutes, and I've got all of the nibs in there. I'm going to go ahead and take the lid off, and it's really coming along very nicely. You can see that all the nibs are being ground down into almost like this really thick and gritty batter at this point. And we're just going to let this keep running here. Actually, in total, this is where chocolate making becomes a real art, because there are different qualities in flavor that you end up creating by the conching process, just like in the roasting of the beans. You know, you got certain qualities and flavors of the different kinds of beans you pick, and then how you roast those beans, whether you do a really dark roast or a light roast. And then the last step that is the chocolate maker's art, is in knowing how long to conch. And I'm going to conch for at least 24 hours, and then I'll kind of decide how long to keep going at that point. At the end of the conching process then is where I will add the other 2 ingredients, which will be cocoa butter and sugar. And but the chocolate that I am looking for to make here is going to be 75 to 78% pure cacao or chocolate, and then only less than 25% of cocoa butter, which is also part in its chocolate, but then and cocoa butter and sugar. That's where when you go to the store, you buy a candy chocolate bar. It is candy. It is not chocolate because it doesn't even have anything close to even 10% cacao or chocolate. And so you can see it's just coming along very nicely here. And we'll interrupt this a little later and let you have another peek and see how this starts turning into a really nice liquid. Where right now it's just turned into a really nice batter type mix. And it'll keep going until it's going to be a nice liquid after a while here. Okay, well, before I go ahead and turn this back on, I'm going to try to get my camera in here, give you a couple different views, and I'll turn on the wheels again. Putting a little more tension on the wheels now. Chris? Just a moment ago, put a little more tension on the wheels, and it was just like a moment ago, but you can already see it's starting to turn into that lovely liquid.
Nice.
I don't want to put too much tension on the wheels yet, but
Yeah.
yeah, it started at 2 o'clock, putting the nibs in. Well, you can certainly see this is going very well. We've got a really lovely looking chocolate liqueur that is being made there. It's, let's see, this has been 4 hours and a little over 4.5 hours in the making. And so you can see that all of those hard nibs have been turned down into this just beautiful liquid chocolate. And this machine has a capacity of 11 pounds. Just to give you an idea then, we put 1.5 pounds of cocoa nibs in here. And if we were to make 10 pounds of chocolate, which we'll be making bigger and bigger batches as we get in practice here, but 10 pounds of chocolate will make 100 standard size candy bars. So that gives you some kind of idea. And so this is coming along very well. And this conching process, we'll do it for anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. And it's just been 4.5 hours now. But as the conching is done, that's what this is called, conching, also known as melanging. And it's really two separate functions, but the process, it brings out different flavors. First of all, it really smooths the chocolate out, and then sometime later we'll be adding cocoa butter and sugar, but it really smooths the process, the chocolate out. Right now it's still a little grainy. It looks nice and liquidy in there, but it's still a little grainy. It's not smooth at all. And then it also, the conching process, the time, how long you take, that's where the artistic nature of the chocolate maker comes in hand, because the chocolate bean itself has so many different flavors depending upon the type of chocolate bean and where it's grown and the year it's grown in. They have different flavors, and those flavors can be brought out in various ways in this process of conching, and that's simply by the length of time that we continue. And you certainly can don't want to conch, like 5 days or anything like that, but you want to keep track of it to know really what for this particular bean, what the spot is that gives us the flavor combination that we are looking for. And right now I don't have any idea what that flavor combination is. It's one of the things that you just really make up as you go along. And so it's coming along very well, and we'll check in a little later. Well, as you see, it's coming along quite well, and so it's time to add the other two ingredients. And the other two ingredients would be cocoa butter. And cocoa butter is purchased as a tempered product. In other words, it's extracted from the cacao beans, and that cacao beans will have up to like around 50% cocoa butter. And so they extract just the pure cocoa butter, and so that's how we purchase it here in chunks. And that cocoa butter then is melted, and in this case we're going to use, because this is a very small batch, and so we're going to use 42 grams of cocoa butter. And I'll be adding that to the ingredients here in a moment. And then after that, we're going to add our sugar, which I use organic cane sugar. I've weighed it all out, and I've got 210 grams of organic cane sugar. And so I've got a special spreadsheet that I created where then I will take and put in all of the numbers that I want. Like in this case, I knew I wanted to make a 75% chocolate, and I wanted to have 5% cocoa butter. And so then that calculates for me the amount of cocoa butter, and that calculates for me the amount of sugar that we're going to use. And in total then, that's where I got the 210 grams of sugar, to add it to the 42 grams of cocoa butter, and then add it to the nibs that I have. And in total then you add that all up, and it will give us 75%, a chocolate bar that's 75% cacao. And so I'm going to go ahead and stop talking because it's hard to hear me, and I'll go ahead and add these other two ingredients then and have you be able to watch that. Okay, so now we've got the sugar added and cocoa butter added, and that is all we need for our chocolate. And now we just need to let the conch keep conching, doing its thing. And I'll run the conch for another 15 hours, and after 15 hours of running it, and actually we'll turn it off for the night, and then start it up again tomorrow. And then tomorrow, after it's been run for a total of 24 or more hours, then I'll start to taste the chocolate. I'm tasting for flavor, but also texture. And then at some point, then I'll make a decision to go ahead and stop the conching process, and we'll be ready to go on to the next step. And so go ahead and get this started again, and let it continue to just roll on.